the one, the only, Ben Sion.
Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're doing Sotah, Daf It, number 22. A great share for you today, talking about being an Amaretz, being a bore, and precious, which is abstaining from the world, but for insincere reasons. We'll distinguish between the good precious and the bad precious in Ian with Ben Sion. I'll start from the second line of Chav Beis Manal Bit. Markara v'shana v'lo shimish talmid chachamim. You learned the Chumash, you learned Mishnayos, but you didn't learn Gemara. You didn't learn how to analyze Gemara. Rabbi Lezer Omer Hareza Amaris. That makes you an Amaris. Rabbi Shmuel Nachmani Amar Hareza Bur. It makes you someone who is even less than an Amaris. A Bur is someone who lacks even basic, street knowledge. Rabbi Yana Omer Hareza Kusi. He doesn't know how to interact with people. He's an empty person. Rabbi Yana says Hareza Kusi is someone who's uncouth. Right? Someone who basically doesn't have good manners, even worse than a bore. Rav Amar, Rav Achav Yaakov Amar, he's a magosh, he's a sorcerer. Even worse than that, he's busy all day doing sorcery. Amar Rav Nachman, he's a mistabak Rav Yaakov. It makes sense like Rav Yaakov's shita. The Amri Inshi Ratin Magusha V'Layada Mayamar Tani Tana V'Layada Mayamar. A sorcerer, he will say incantations. He'll say different, combinations of words. He doesn't know what he's saying. Similarly, someone who recites Mishnayos without understanding Gemara, doesn't understand how to analyze the Mishnayos through the Gemara, he also doesn't know what he's saying. Tanarabanan, Ezev Am Aretz. What's the definition the Raisa asks of an Am Aretz? He doesn't even learn the minimum of Torah. He doesn't learn Shach. He doesn't say Kriya Shema. The Birchos, he doesn't say Kriya Shema. He doesn't say what the brachos are Kriya Shema also. He's supposed to say the brachos and the Rabbanan also. The Kriya Shema. Direi Meir. That's the opinion of Rei Meir. Achamer kol she'eino miniach tefillin. We don't put on tefillin. But Nazai Omer kol she'ein lo tzitzis b'bigdal. You don't wear tzitzis. Yonos Amar Yosef Amar kol she'yesh lo bonim ve'eino magadlan l'mod Torah. He has children. He doesn't teach them to learn Torah. It doesn't mean you have to send your kids to yeshiva necessarily. It means that privately you have to make sure, either through teaching them at home or through sending them to a separate Jewish day school for an hour a day. You could fulfill this also. You won't be an Amaretz. Echoing what we said in the previous statement, that if you learned Torah, Chumash, you didn't learn Mishnayos, but you didn't learn Gemara well, you didn't learn how to analyze the Gemara, you're an Amaretz. If you learn Chumash and you didn't learn Mishnayos, you're a bore. Not only an Amaretz, not someone who's lacking in basic knowledge of the world, just an empty person. You're lacking even, basic knowledge they would give you in school. I said before, bored is street smart. Bored is more like an empty person. He doesn't even know basic knowledge. Mishnah teaches you basic knowledge about the Torah, about the world. You go to school, you get an education, elementary school, high school, college, liberal arts. They teach you a lot of nothingness. But if you don't have that knowledge, you're really a bore. You're someone who's empty. If you didn't even learn Chumash, Allah v'kasav omer v'zerasi es beis Yisrael v'es beis Yehuda zera adam v'zera behema. One of the curses, it says in Yirmiyah, eventually, destruction of Klal Yisrael, there'll be zera adam v'zera behema. There'll be people that are just human beings, and some people will just be empty human beings, and some people will even be animals. They'll even be animals. They won't even lack the basic knowledge of how to interact with people, be uncouth, like we said before, kusim. Yirei as b'ni umelech v'imshonim al tisaref. So the Gemara darshans this pasuk. Hashem says you should fear Hashem, my son, umelech, and treat him as a king. V'imshonim al tisaref. Don't mix together with shonim. What's shonim? Elu sheshonim halachos. These are people that learn halachos. You shouldn't mix together with them. It's pshita. Obviously, you shouldn't mix together with people that don't learn, are knowledge. People don't learn Mishnayos, lack even the rudimentary skills that you would learn about mathematics and science. Basically, the equivalency in Judaism of mathematics and basic English and science when you don't have Mishnayos. So you shouldn't mix with those people. Pshita. You might think Shona doesn't mean people who don't learn Mishnayos. It means people who repeat a sin. Once a person does a sin and he repeats it, it becomes like it's mutter to him. He has no problem doing it a third time. That's dangerous to mix with that person. Kamash Malan. Tell you, no, that's not what the Pasuk is talking about. It's even worse to mix with people who don't lack the basic knowledge. They're bores. Basically, someone's empty, doesn't lack the basic knowledge of the world. Not street smarts, not the conversational skills, but just basic facts about the world, about, you learn in elementary school and high school. Tana, the Brayta says that Tanoim Mavlei Olam. People who learn Mishnayos destroy the world. Mavlei Olam Zagadaita. What's wrong with learning Mishnayos? They destroy the world. It's not a problem they learn Mishnayos, it's that they start pasking the halachas right after learning Mishnayos. You learn Mishnah Yomi with me, we're learning Pesach, and all of a sudden you're ready to paskin the halachas of chametz and bal yira and bal yamatzeh and destroying your chametz. And what happens? Chametz Shavuot Pesach, and you just learn Mishnayos. It's not good enough. You have to learn the Gemara also. Tanya Mihachi, similar Bryce, are they really destroying him? People that learn Mishnayos inhabit the world. They cause the world to be inhabited. Right? As Pasuk says, we say this at the end of davening. Right? Someone who learns Mishnayos, 2 Mishnayos a day, it's like if you learn halachos, the world is settled by him, through him. It must mean that it means they learn Mishnayos and they paskin shilas based on their knowledge of the Mishnayos without consulting the Gemara. Isha Prusha. The Mishnah says a woman who is Prusha, she desists from enjoyment in this world. She considers someone who destroys the world. Besula Slinus, Valmana Shovis, Vakatan Shalakalo Chadasha, Re Elu Mavle Olam. 3 people, a woman, a virgin, she's not married, she davens too much, she's always davening. They always sit here saying to Hillel, Valmana Shovis, a widow, Shovis, she basically goes and she's knocking on her neighbor's doors all the time. She should be the one sitting at home and either finding a new husband or saying Mishnayos, not be frolicking around and going with her neighbors. The katan, it has not reached the right age. We'll talk about that explanation of this third thing later on in the Gemara. They destroy the world. It's true. We learn, Rabbi Yochanan said in one place, we learned fear of sin from a psula, from a virgin. We learned how to acquire reward in Olam Haba for an Almana. You're a skate in Psul. Rabbi Yochanan Shamal He Psul. What's the story? Yochanan heard of Psul. The Nafla Appa, she fell on her face. The Kamar Rabban Shalom Barasa Gan Eden Barasa Gehenim. You created Gan Eden Gehenim Barasa Tzadikim Barasa Rishayim. You created Tzadikim Rishayim. Here it's on Vanecha Shaliyesh Lubi B'nei Adam. She was very concerned. She was a beautiful woman. She didn't want other people men to see her, and they would come to sin, either running after her, or running after other women. So therefore, she was davening that she should be tzanua, and that's a good thing that a woman should daven for. Kibul schar malmana, what's the good thing? That he almana the habi be knishta b'shivusei kol. She left her house, but she went to daven in a shul. She had a shul in her neighborhood. However, she would go out of her town. She would go to the base medrash or Yochanan and learn. Amar labiti lo base knesses knes b'shivusei. Don't you have a shul in your city? Why are you coming here? Why are you traveling? And Almana should stay in her house. She shouldn't be walking around. I get schar for walking to the base medrash. I want to get that schar. So you see, it's a good thing for an Almana sometimes to get out, and then for a psula to daven. And where it says, we're talking about a woman who overly pious. That's talking about a woman like Yochanan ben Retivi, who was a sorceress. Our school explains she basically fooled people. She made a spell that women should have trouble giving birth, and she went to them and she told them she's going to daven for them, and then she removed the spell and they gave birth, and everyone thought that she was a wonderkind. She was, she knew how to daven better than anybody else, but the truth was it was sorcery. So she hid behind the sorcery. So that's considered using Judaism for your own purposes, there's being a pious person. But that's supposed to be private. You're not supposed to wear your Judaism on your sleeve. And certainly not a trick to other people to believing you're a tzaddik. So the Gemara says, my katan shlo kol chadasha. What's the third case? A child didn't finish his months. In Eretz Yisrael, they said, in Bavel, they said, it's Talmud Chacham who rebels against his Rebbeim. His Rebbeim taught him things. He rebels against them. He doesn't follow them. He says, talking about a student that he hasn't reached the age yet where he has enough shimush, he has enough practice in learning how to paskin umorah. Nonetheless, he gives psak halacha. What is the intention of this pasuk? Right? A lot of people became chalalim. They died. It's talking about Talmud Chacham that didn't reach the age where is capable of being a psak halacha. Nonetheless, he paskins halacha. The strong ones, they all died. It's the opposite. You reach the age and you have the capacity to give orah. Nonetheless, out of you want a false humility, you say, I'm not Roy, I'm not ready to do that. That's also a bad thing. That's strong one. You're a strong one, and nonetheless you kill yourself. Ad kama, the Gemara asks on Chabezam and Bez on the top, ad kama, ad arba'in shnin. What's considered the age where you are considered Roy lehara? You're fit to give a psak halacha. 40 years old. And is this true? But how Rabba died at the age of 40, and he gave a lot of piskela, obviously before the age of 40. The Gemara says B'Shavin, Rabba was considered the greatest sage in his town. At least he was equal to the greatest sage. When you're equal, you can even paskin shilas, even when you're younger than 40. If you're not equal, so then 40 years old is the time when you can start paskin, even though there's someone greater than you. Makos Prushin. Makos Prushin, the Mishnah says the last thing in the Mishnah, it's people that desist from, abstain from the world, and even hit themselves. They hurt themselves to make sure they abstain from the world. Those people destroy the world. Tanavan Shiva Prushin. There's 7 types of people who abstain from the world. Parish Shichmi, a parish from Shechem. Right, we'll talk about that in a second. Parish Nikvi, a parish who bangs his legs. Parish Kizai, a person who bloodlets. Parish Meduchia, a parish who's like a pestle. Basically, a pestle is something you grind with. Parish Machovasi Vasan, a parish who basically says, what is my obligation? I'll do it. Parish Me'ava, parish Me'ira. Or you abstain from the world in order to get reward. Or Parish Me'ir, you abstain in order because you're afraid of sin. Parish Shechmi, so the Gemara analyzes all these. Parish Shechmi, he does what they did in Shechem. Basically, they did in Shechem is they got a bris milah, right? Shechem, the brothers forced all the people of Shechem in order to protect Dinah to get a bris milah, and they ended up killing them. So if you get a bris milah, you do the mitzvos for the wrong intentions. Right, you just do it because your desire to be with women is more enjoyable not to have an arla, so that's not the right idea. Parish Nikfi, someone who bangs. Parish Nikfi is mankeves raglov. He walks and he bangs his legs. He looks like he's falling over all the time. He bangs his leg. He falls on the floor, hits against the wall in order to show that I'm an unav. People will look down upon him. Parish Kizoi, Rav Nachman, he's similar to the previous one. The previous one, he keeps on falling, he's hitting his legs on the floor. This person, he bangs his leg against the wall and he gets blood. He wants people to look at him, this Nebuch person, look down on him. He's a lowly person, right? False anava, false humility. Parish Meduchia, Amar Rashila, the Mashba Ki Meduchia. Again, another type of false humility where you walk over, you're hunched over like a pestle. A pestle at the top has, basically a place to hold it. So he walks like he's bent over, which people look down upon him. It's false humility. Amarav Bar Shela, the Meshbak Meduchia, fine. Meshbak Meduchia. Parish Shmachavasim Asen, Hamal Yosei. What's bad about a person saying, what's my chol? What do I need to do for Hashem? And I'll do it. What do I do for myself? And I'll do it. He's saying, what more is there for me to do? Basically, I've done everything. I've mekayim the whole Torah and more. What else could I do? That's, again, false humility. Parush ma'ava, parush me'yira. Not false humility, that's actually the opposite. That's what we call gasas harua, like the Gemara said in Daf Hey. Parish Ma'ava, Parish Meira, Amrle Abai, Rav Latana. When Abai and Rav heard this brisa, Lo Sisni Parish Ma'ava, Parish Meira. Take out the inclusion of Parish Ma'ava, Parish Meira. The Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, Lo Olam Yasak Adam Torah Mitzvahs Afilu Shalishma, Mishum Tok Shalishma Balishma. It's good, even if you're doing it for Tikal Schar, not to get punished. That's good. That's called Shalol Lishma. But since it'll eventually lead you to do it Lishma for the right reason, what's for doing Lishma? For the sake of the mitzvah itself, for the benefit that it gives to you, the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs are meant to benefit us, that we can enjoy the world. So that's the highest level. But if you do it, they get schar for HaKadosh Baruch. If you do the schar, you're afraid of Hashem, that will lead you to do it for the right reason. So that's a good thing. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yisach, the matra, the mitamra. What's supposed to be hidden should be hidden. But the megali, what's supposed to be revealed to the world should be revealed. Beidin Rabba lepara mahani dechapu gindi. And because of this, in Shamayim, they should punish people, the chafu gundi. What does it mean, chafu gundi? So there's a couple different explanations about this. Some say it means, the article says it basically means you wear a pair of, you wear your tzitzis out, the strings out, or the talis out. That's what Rashi says, the talis out. Article says the strings out. The Aruch says it means someone who drapes themselves in black clothing. Like if you go to Mea Sharim, those people wear those long robes over there to make themselves the Hasidim, wear these long black coats. The Rosh Yeshiva. We'll talk more about this in Ian Ben Zion. That's the worst. They should, right? You don't wear your Yiddishkeit on your sleeve. You shouldn't be from on your sleeve. You should be from inside in your heart. But on the outside, you should look like everybody else. That's why I got the blue shirt over here. In America, I'm allowed to wear colored clothing over here. I broke the color barrier in America. So the Gemara says, Amarla Yanai Malka Debise. Yanai Malka said to his wife, he wasn't a great king, Yanai Malka. He killed a lot of rabbis. Altis Yarim Mina Prushim. Lo Mishena Prushim. Right, the Prushim were the people that he killed, the rabbis, right? The Haredi sect back then was called the Prushim because they abstained from the world. It's just like the Haredi sect nowadays. They live a cloistered life, secluded life in the shtetl. Don't be afraid of those people, and don't be afraid of people that don't abstain. You should be afraid of the people that are colored people. Colored blue shirt. People with the false humility, right? I mean, even people that are excessively abstain from the world or don't abstain. If they don't abstain from the world, they're enjoying the world like regular people in the world. If they abstain from the world, they're abstaining. But you have to be more careful from the people that tzvuin, that people that, it doesn't mean they wear colored clothing. It means that they show their religiosity outside. And inside, they're not any better than anybody else. They just want to show on the outside how they're humble, how they're big tzaddikim. On the inside, they're not really genuine, not tofel gabaro. And therefore, they do like Maisa Zimri, right? Who committed a tremendous sin with Benos Midyan, and they want schar like Pinchas, who acted and brought revenge for Hashem. The Mishnah says, "Rab Shimon Omer ein schus tolav b'mayim amorim." Back to the Sotah, right? In the previous Mishnah, the Chachamim say that if a woman has schus, either she has schus through Torah or through mitzvos, or even if she committed adultery, her punishment is delayed for 1 or 2 or 3 years. Rav Shimon says, no, there's no such thing. The schus does not, right? If she's not punished right away, even if she would die 1 year, 2 year, 3 years later, it's not because of the adultery. It's some other reason, natural causes. It doesn't happen. If she's guilty, she'll die right away. But if you would conclude logically that it works like that, so they're not going to be afraid to drink the water. They knew they committed adultery. They'll say, all right, I have a couple years to live. It's only when it's final, they're going to die right away. Then they'll admit to the truth. That's why you want them to admit the truth and not, erase the name of Hashem in the water. Also, another consequence in believing that the schus actually works is because, let's say nothing happened to them. People will say, really, they're guilty. They committed adultery. They just have a schus. That's why they're not dying anyway. Rabbi Omer, Rabbi has a third opinion about schus. Schus tola b'mayim hamar. He agrees with the Rabbanan, it does work. He has sort of a compromise between Rabbi Shimon and the Rabbanan. Schus works. However, it's immediately recognizable if they sin because they start getting worse. Like the pasuk says, she doesn't have children. If she was innocent, she'd have children right away. She doesn't have children, and her health deteriorates very rapidly, and she dies from that sickness that started when she drank the water. Sophie Mesa also she dies a similar death to what a Sotah does. Basically, a Sotah dies, her belly implodes, and her leg falls. Basically the muscles atrophy in her body. I would say it's like ALS or something like that. Ba'osamisa nitbes minchasa. Let's say the Kara Mincha, the Sotah, becomes Tami Achalo Kisha Bakli before it was actually put in the Klisharis. Right? We learned it's supposed to be in a wicker basket first. Harei Kol Menachos V'Tipada. It's like any other mincha that was not mekudash. You can redeem it. It only kedushas dam, not kedushas aguf. Once it was put in the kli sharis, it already has kedushas aguf. It wasn't offered on the mizbeach yet. However, therefore, if it becomes tamei at that point, then you have to actually burn it. The Mishnah continues, it's a long Mishnah. We'll continue the Mishnah tomorrow. It talks about other minchas of a Sotah, when they're burnt and when they're not burnt. Stay tuned for Ian Ben Sion when I talk about Precious, the Midah of Precious. I find like I'm really giving a lot of shiurim about Hashkafa in this Masechta, a lot of Agadat in this Masechta. Talk about the Midah of Precious, one of the most important Midos in Mesilas Yesharim. Anyone who has taken on Haredi Judaism, ultra-Orthodox Judaism in a serious way is definitely immediately confronted by the aspect of Precious. Is it part of Judaism, not part of Judaism, to abstain from the world? Much like we talked about Masechtas Nazir, I'll tell you my opinion of what the correct Precious, the good Precious, and the bad Precious. Ian Ben Sion coming up next.